blown out of the sky. But after 3 days of hard fighting, Saipan is still a fortress island. And for the crew of USS Enterprise, the battle for the Marianas has only just begun. In response to the American attacks, Admiral Ozawa has taken to the seas, headed for a showdown. He has one mission: crush the U.S. fleet. June 15th, 1944, D-Day in the invasion of Saipan. Enterprise launches a major airstrike of SBD dive bombers, Hellcat fighters, and Avenger torpedo planes. It's part of a massive support mission. While the Marines wade ashore, planes from Lexington and Enterprise will hit the beaches and pillboxes with bombs and machine gun fire. The assault is led by Commander William Killer Kane of Enterprise. The veteran pilot will lead 68 planes from the two ships in the brutal assault on Saipan.
This is before the Marines landed. You'd go in first and hit all the anti-aircraft. This was one of the major operations of the war, as far as, a number of troops landing and all that. Because the Japanese, they didn't want you to take Saipan at all. I mean, that was a big blow to them.
As Kane's strike force heads into the deadly airspace, they can clearly see the Marines heading for the beaches. As the American airmen batter the Japanese positions with round after round of bombs and bullets, 20,000 U.S. Marines wade ashore and face the Japanese defenders in hellish combat. In one single day of battle, 2,000 Americans are killed or wounded on Saipan. 2,000 men for less than a half a mile of Japanese real estate. A gruesome start to one of the biggest battles in the Pacific War. 7 p.m. Carriers, Enterprise, Lexington, and Bunker Hill cruise the waters off Saipan. As the sun begins to set on D-Day, the ships prepare for another night in the hostile Central Pacific. Suddenly, the main search radar on the Enterprise picks something up. It's an incoming air assault. 22 miles away, 7 land-based Fran torpedo bombers head right for Enterprise and carrier Lexington. Within minutes, the enemy planes will be within striking distance. 10 miles ahead of the Frans, spotters on Enterprise can now clearly see the incoming assault. Seconds later, the guns of the task force roar into action. 5-inch 38 caliber rifles from Enterprise and Lexington thump out a volley of explosive projectiles. 40mm and 20mm anti-aircraft guns spray red-hot streams of fire into the air. The American task force is formed up in a defensive circle. Their mission is simple: unleash an umbrella of fire, protect the Big E and the other carriers at all costs.
The typical battle line of an American naval task force in the summer of 1944 in the Pacific Theater consisted of aircraft carriers at the center of the formation, close to the carriers, battleships, bringing the most guns to the battle area. Out from the battleships, you would have a ring of cruisers, and then finally destroyers on the outskirts of the battle formation. And the purpose and point of this kind of battle formation was to engage incoming Japanese aircraft as far away from the most important ship as possible, and the most important ship, of course, was the aircraft carrier.
The enemy planes hug the air just over the waves on a headlong charge into the fusillade of gunfire. From his battle station, Enterprise Marine Lieutenant Richard Hart watches as one Japanese plane is torn by flak.
You could see the shells hitting it, and inside caught fire, and you could see the pilot silhouetted against the blaze inside the plane, but still flying it, still concentrated.
In the confusion of battle, American ships fire in all directions. U.S. sailors now face the Japanese pilots and friendly fire.
You can see this right now. I'm on the flight deck again, lying low. Bunker Hill is firing right into the flight top deck level, and we're firing across our flight deck level at the Japs as they come down.
By flying low among the American ships, the Japanese pilots know that U.S. gunners will have to fire into their own men.
Anybody who stood up would probably be shot down. It's that bad.
All of the ships that were protecting the carriers were putting up so much fire frantically in an frenzied way, attempting to bring down the Japanese torpedo aircraft. They had rounds falling on friendly ships and friendly vessels.
A sailor manning one of the Big E's batteries takes a 40mm round to the head, just feet from a powder locker for the 5-inch guns.
Had the round not hit the sailor and exploded, it would have hit that ammunition storage locker and detonated the ammunition on the inside, which would have caused enormous damage and would have led to even greater loss of life.
Enterprise holds her own. Her 5-inch and 40mm batteries hammer away into the night. But 1,000 yards ahead, a Fran torpedo plane drops its payload. In a matter of moments, it could be all over for the Big E. At the last second, the ship heels over into a hard turn and just barely dodges the warhead. Her gunners destroy 2 of the enemy planes, smashing them into crumpled, burning steel. Within minutes, the chilling nighttime battle is over. Amazingly, only 3 U.S. sailors are killed, but more than 50 are wounded, all victims of friendly crossfire.
Well, friendly fire, or fratricide, of course, I mean, it is going to happen. I mean, we don't accept it, but it does happen. It's happened in every war that we've ever been involved in, every war that's ever been fought, you know. And there are certain measures that you can take to avoid it, but there's no 100% way.
But even more harrowing is what lies over the distant horizon. 1,200 nautical miles away, American submarine SS Flying Fish cruises through the waters off the Philippine Islands on the hunt for any Japanese vessels that might head for Saipan. Flying Fish is a Gato-class submarine, 311 feet long. She has 10 21-inch torpedo tubes, capable of launching 24 torpedoes, and is armed with a single 3-inch deck gun. Right now, subs like Flying Fish are the eyes of the U.S. fleet. Amazingly, the submarine spots Admiral Ozawa's forces. One by one, the dark shapes of 6 aircraft carriers appear on the horizon. Immediately, the sub reports the sighting. Admiral Mark Mitscher now knows that Ozawa and his carriers are on the way. Thanks to the lone submarine, Enterprise and the U.S. fleet know that an all-out carrier battle is coming. The U.S. command is now dead certain that Ozawa is on his way to Saipan, so they order Mitscher to divide his forces. While the older battleships like USS Tennessee and Pennsylvania remain at Saipan with the escort carriers, Mitscher leads the 8 fleet carriers, including Enterprise, and 7 light carriers west to the island of Tinian, where they will intercept Ozawa's forces. The new fast battleships and the cruisers form a battle line well ahead of the carriers. They will provide an anti-aircraft barrier and will finish off any enemy vessels crippled in battle. Ozawa's forces head northeast from the Philippines in 2 elements. The first line of warships are light carriers, cruisers, and the super battleships Musashi and Yamato, under the command of Admiral Takeo Kurita. 100 miles to the rear,